Nihilism. Is life meaningless? What if I told you that nothing you do actually matters? That morality, truth, and even your sense of self might be illusions? Sounds bleak, right? Well, welcome to nihilism. But before you close this video and run for the hills, let's dive deeper. Is nihilism truly a philosophy of despair, or is there something liberating hidden within it? From existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre, Søren Kierkegaard, and Albert Camus to modern thinkers like Dr. Jordan Peterson, nihilism has been both feared and embraced. So, is life meaningless, or do we get to create our own meaning? Let's find out. The birth of nihilism. Where did it come from? The term nihilism comes from the Latin word nihil, meaning nothing. It was first used philosophically in the 18th century by Friedrich Jacobi, who warned that extreme rationalism and rejection of religion might strip away all meaning from life. One of the most radical thinkers of this nihilistic wave was Max Stirner, who took nihilism to an individualistic extreme. Stirner rejected all external structures, whether they were religious, societal, or even moral, in favor of absolute personal freedom. He believed that individuals should be the only authority in their lives, radically rejecting anything that imposed itself upon them, including the very concept of society or morality. For Stirner, the individual was free to create their own meaning, regardless of tradition or collective norms. But it was in Russia that nihilism truly became a movement. Writers like Ivan Turgenev used it to describe young intellectuals rejecting tradition, religion, and authority. They wanted to start over, tear everything down and rebuild from nothing. Sounds radical? Well, that's because it was. Of course, Friedrich Nietzsche took nihilism to a whole new level. His famous line, "God is dead," wasn't just a random hot take. He meant that the old ways, religion, morality, universal truth, had lost their power. The world was shifting toward a secular scientific age, but without a guiding moral compass. Without God, Nietzsche argued, we face a terrifying question. If there are no absolute truths, what stops us from falling into despair or chaos? His answer was that most people don't handle it well. He described two common reactions to nihilism, which were passive nihilism and active nihilism. Passive nihilism, meaning those who sink into apathy and resignation, believing nothing matters. And active nihilism, comprised of those who tear down old values, seeking to replace them with something new. But Nietzsche didn't believe we should remain in nihilism forever. Instead, he introduced the idea of the Übermensch, the person who creates their own values and meaning instead of relying on external sources. To Nietzsche, nihilism wasn't an endpoint. It was a phase humanity had to go through in order to grow. But how do we do that? And is nihilism always a bad thing? Existential nihilism. Does life have meaning? This is where existentialism comes in, and no one explored it better than Albert Camus. In his book The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus asks, if life has no inherent meaning, should we give up, or should we rebel? The book is based on the Greek myth of Sisyphus, a man condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back down, over and over, for eternity. It's a perfect metaphor for human life. We work, struggle, and push forward, only for everything to reset. If nothing lasts, why keep going? Camus' answer is surprising. He argues that instead of sinking into despair, we should embrace the absurdity of life. Sisyphus's fate seems meaningless, but what if he finds joy in the struggle itself? Camus famously concludes, we must imagine Sisyphus happy. The lesson, meaning isn't something we discover out there. It's something we bring to life by ourselves, through our actions and choices. In modern times, Dr. Jordan Peterson has built on Nietzsche's ideas, particularly his warning about the dangers of nihilism. Peterson argues that when people believe life has no meaning, they become vulnerable to despair, resentment, and destructive ideologies. He sees this as a real psychological and societal risk. He often points to the 20th century, where nihilism played a role in the rise of totalitarian ideologies like communism and fascism. Without shared values, Peterson argues, people look for something else to give their lives meaning, often something dangerous. So how do we escape nihilism? Peterson's answer is simple. Take responsibility. He believes that meaning isn't something you passively find, it's something you create by setting goals, taking on challenges, and striving for self-improvement. In his words, meaning is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Dr. Jordan Peterson provides valuable and positive advice on how to find a way out of nihilism in one of his lectures that's available on YouTube. I'll leave the link for you in the video description down below. Moral nihilism. Is right and wrong just an opinion? What about morality? If nothing has objective meaning, does that mean there's no right or wrong? That's moral nihilism. It suggests that good and evil are human constructs, not universal truths. But does that mean morality is meaningless? Well, not necessarily. Many philosophers argue that, even if morality is a human construct, it still has real value. Society functions best when people cooperate and treat each other well, so we create moral frameworks, even if they aren't handed down by a higher power. The question for many remains, do we create our own morality, or is there something deeper that guides us? So is nihilism a dead end or a new beginning? In fact, many thinkers, from Nietzsche to Camus, argue that if meaning isn't given to us, that means we have the freedom to create it. Now, where does this leave us? If life doesn't come with built-in meaning, does that mean we're doomed to despair? There is more than one answer. Nietzsche's answer, become the Übermensch. Create your own values and rise above nihilism. Camus' answer, embrace the absurd, find joy in the struggle itself. Peterson's answer, take responsibility, build a meaningful life through discipline and goals. But to fully grasp nihilism, we should also consider existentialist thinkers who wrestled with its implications. While Jean-Paul Sartre and Søren Kierkegaard were not nihilists, they directly confronted the challenge of meaninglessness. Instead of falling into despair, they each proposed a way forward, one rooted in personal choice and commitment. Sartre's answer, radical freedom. Since life has no preset purpose, we must create meaning through our choices and actions. Kierkegaard's answer, a leap of faith. When reason fails to provide meaning, a personal commitment, often religious, can offer a path beyond despair. These different answers show that life is a complex and ever-evolving experience, one that calls for openness and curiosity. We must dare to keep questioning, to seek, to discover, and sometimes even to rediscover what brings peace to our souls. Perhaps, as Peterson suggests, this was the true purpose of Nietzsche's warning, to challenge us to find meaning before nihilism finds us. Maybe the meaning of life isn't something you find. Maybe the meaning of life is to give it meaning. What do you think? Is nihilism liberating or terrifying? Do you agree with Nietzsche, Peterson, or Camus? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into philosophy, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep discussions, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of The Life Pulse. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious. Thanks for watching.